serving as an umbrella for all of this activity is CMAV, the Center for Maryland Advanced Ventures, which is a large effort located at UMB to commercialize academic IP and grow university startups across the state. Some of you may recall that CMAV is part of the University of Maryland Strategic Partnership Act, passed by the legislature last year, the partnership between our colleagues at College Park and us. And it places UMB at the center of the state's plans to make academic innovation and entrepreneurship a very important, powerful source of Maryland's economic strength. So we're very privileged to be housing CMAV, which is in formation now here at UMB.
We were tasked with writing this white paper to assess the current state of entrepreneurship at UMB, to identify existing gaps, and to make appropriate recommendations. In order to accomplish our mission, we evaluated current practices at UMB through interviews with leading officials and performed extensive research on the best practices at top institutions. To more quantitatively assess the state of entrepreneurship at UMB, we designed and gathered results from a student survey. Combined with our research and survey results, we have led to a series of recommendations with the ultimate goal of fostering a culture of entrepreneurship at UMB.
I like to see that the training of students in entrepreneurship as a great way to change the perspective of the faculty themselves. So there's nothing like a student coming back to your lab and coming with ideas of how what an academic thinks is a traditional idea may have broader commercial potential. So I think students are a great way to change the mindset of the faculty as well. The faculty, again, are busy a little bit, worried about getting that next grant in to pay for everything.
My son turned one yesterday. I've started a concept called Host for Humanity. When he was born with a really rare condition called congenital diaphragmatic hernia. So part of his diaphragm was missing. It caused his bowels to move into his chest cavity, crushed one of his lungs, and moved his heart over to the other side of his chest. So he had about a 50% chance of survival, and it was a really, really rough start to parenthood. And we just found, we got transferred to Hopkins right away. Any baby with CDH in the state goes to Hopkins. And we felt so lucky to live in downtown Baltimore, where we're a 10-minute drive to Hopkins. It wasn't a big deal to get to the NICU and to get home, but we kept running into families that were traveling from Tennessee, where they were either living in this tiny hospital room because they weren't oncology and they weren't trauma and there wasn't space in Ronald McDonald House or other hospitality homes, or they were spending thousands of dollars in hotel rooms that wasn't covered by insurance. And so I, through that experience, have created Host for Humanity, where it's like Airbnb, but with an altruistic twist, where people can open up rooms in their home that are free to patient families traveling for care. And I've been working on it for the last several months. I did Intro to I-Corps through the National Science Foundation at College Park in the fall, and that was a tremendous experience for me. We also launched that here at UMB this past Friday, and we had 8 teams from all over the institutions. We had students, faculty, and staff. Multiple schools were represented. We had social entrepreneurs, we had ed tech, we had life science entrepreneurs, and it was really fabulous.
We select about 6 fellows or so every year. They do have a stipend so far, and the fellows spend about 4 months working on technologies that we have developed to a certain stage, where they're really either companies or very close to companies. So this is our 2nd year of the fellows program. This year there are 2 teams of fellows. When the fellows come in, they pick projects and they are in teams. So this year there's 2 teams. One team is working on a company called Surgigyne, which is producing a device for laparoscopic hysterectomy surgery. It performs the colpotomy, which is the removal of the cervix and uterus through the vagina. And that device is in prototype right now. And we've gone to the FDA, we have a really clear path forward. We have a 60-person clinical study that's mandated. So what the students are doing is working on looking at the market for the European and Asian and Latin American market for the hysterectomies. So they will do their presentation. The other group is working on a technology called MagnaDent, which is a dental cavity technology. The idea is to make a much stronger and longer lasting dental filling using magnets. So you mix magnetic nanoparticles with the filling material, use the magnet to pull it a little bit further deeper into the dentinal tubules of the tooth, and then harden the filling the way that they normally do, and that'll create a lasting bond. So those students have been looking, the group working in MagnaDent have been looking for sources of funding because you can apply for SPIR grants, which are government grants, when you nanoparticles through NSF or NIH, and they've been looking at sources of funding and kind of pull all this information for us.
One thing we've tried to do, one of the goals of the biopark is to bring the private sector to our campus so that there are interactions. And so Dr. Strom has a startup company that's doing very well in the biopark, the first of many, I'm sure. And by being able to just walk across the street, you get those types of interactions. So what we do want to do is this cluster of buildings, we have 700 or 800 people working there, most of them in the private sector, and how do we create opportunities? Those companies are hiring our students, they're hiring our graduates. We want to accelerate that and also make you more comfortable working, hanging out with people in the private sector and building those contacts. So I got to say, if we're going to get a job and sitting down with somebody and doing an hour interview, and that's the extent of your interaction, it's tough to get a job. If you develop a relationship with that person over multiple months and years, sure, a lot easier.